November 12, 2019, Parliament received this request for a question hour. The Honourable Minister of Finance, Mr. Artwell Erin, was invited to be present to answer the questions. The intention of the Vragenuurtje question hour is to create the possibility to interact with ministers, and this was done since the passing of Hurricane Irma. Article 69 was proposed to be introduced effective immediately in order to introduce the so-called question hour. During the question hour, only questions and answers will be given for the topic at hand. I'll go over a little bit of the procedure, as this is a relatively new system that was put in. As it was said, this was done shortly after Hurricane Irma, so in 2017. The procedures: questions to be answered during the question hour by the minister can be submitted from Monday to Wednesday during the so-called reading week or non-meeting week. The deadline is 5 p.m. on Wednesday. The Member of Parliament submits the questions to Parliament in accordance with Article 69 and the Rules of Order, which states, to exercise their supervisory activities, each Member of Parliament may pose questions to one or more ministers without the permission of Parliament. That is to say, not with the requirement of a parliamentary decision or 3 signatures as is customary for asking a meeting. The Member of Parliament needs to specifically request that the questions submitted be answered orally in accordance with Article 69C of the Rules of Order. The President of Parliament decides on the sequence of the questions no later than 10 a.m. that will be answered during the question hour. Seeing the fact that in theory all 15 members can submit questions for the question hour, a selection needs to be made of which questions of which member will be allowed for a particular question hour. The maximum speaking times is regulated in Article 69D of the Rules of Order, and the proposal was to allow questions from 2 different members to be answered each time to avoid exceeding the hour. How we will determine this: these 2 members are chosen based on date and time of the questions were submitted to Parliament. What happens if more members submit questions? In that case, the President will ask members if their questions are still relevant and if answering is still necessary. In terms of the invitation, the relevant minister is invited by letter, a UV, along with the questions posed by the Member of Parliament no later than Thursday, 12 p.m. of the preceding week. And in terms of convocation, a convocation for the question hour public meeting will be sent out by Thursday, 5 p.m. the latest, in accordance with Rules of Order. If the relevant minister agrees to answer the questions verbally, the question hour will take place as scheduled on Monday. The Member of Parliament will get the opportunity to read his or her questions as submitted for a maximum of 2 minutes. So the totality of the questions, he or she has 2 minutes to pose them. The minister is given the opportunity to answer the questions also for a maximum of 2 minutes per question. So we will allow the minister 2 minutes per question to respond to each question. The Member of Parliament is given the opportunity once more to ask additional questions for a maximum of 2 minutes. And the minister is given 1 minute to answer each of those questions. The President can then allow the Members of Parliament to ask questions for a maximum of 1 minute per question about the same topic. So in other words, after the first rounds of questions are asked, the initial questions, each Member of Parliament, at the discretion of the time and so on, we would have 1 minute per question, but it has to be on the topic or related to the answers that were given. This is according to Article 69 of the Rules of Order. The minister is given 1 minute to answer each question after the MPs have posed them. And then during the question hour, no permission can be asked to hold an interpellation, nor motions can be submitted. This is just to say that while it is a public meeting, it's not a regular public meeting in that sense where you can present motions or request interpellation.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for the outline with respect to the calling for asking for a question hour. And indeed, the articles were inserted into the Rules of Order of Parliament, and rather than await the total revision of the Rules of Order, which is currently underway, it was thought necessary to, ahead of that, approve the changes that would make a question hour possible. I say all of this to look at a date of this request for the question hour, namely the 12th of November 2019. And at that time, the issue of the sale of UTS St. Martin to Flo was very pertinent. Not only the sale, but also the finalization of the contractual sale. And so I posed, and I would encourage the minister, even though these questions were related to the issue back in November of 2019, if the minister could give whatever update, even though it might not be asked so specifically, but any update regarding the matter at hand.
Point of order.
Again,
She has 2 minutes to allow her to continue. MP Samuel, let's allow her to continue, please. MP Westcott, you have the floor.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. And as I was saying, I would request the Minister of Finance to give an update on the topic, because this meeting was more than 2 months ago requested. This question hour meeting was requested more than 2 months ago. So at the time, the issue was the parliamentary authorization given on the basis of an initiative draft law, apparently does not suffice.
MP Westcott,
So,
as you know, they only allow in the rules of order 2 minutes for you to pose your questions or summarize as you did.
sure.
So your time is actually up at this time.
That's no problem, Mr. Chairman, but fact is that is 2 minutes per question, because the 2 minutes is also per answer. So I don't believe that it's 2 minutes to ask all of the questions at the same time, and then the minister has 2 minutes to. But if you will allow me, Mr. Chairman, I'll just finish the questions, because important to note is that the minister has received these questions. So you have them, but just for posterity's sake, I will just read you the questions, Minister.
Point of order.
MP Westcott, I'll go to your point of order, MP Samuel, if you'll allow me. According to the rules of order, it says a maximum of 2 minutes speaking time to question a minister. It doesn't say per question. So at this time, I would have to ask for you to, while the minister has the questions, you've elucidated your point. MP Samuel, please, you have the floor.
Mr. Chairman, it is very necessary that we stick to the rules of this specific item which we have approved here in the Rules of Order of Parliament. And if we start by going outside of that, it is not going to go in the right direction, because one of the things that was asked is for the minister to give an update. And I don't know if that's possible to give for the minister to do so. The minister is supposed to be asked the questions that the chairperson have received. I haven't heard any questions to the minister this morning. I thank you.
Thank you, MP Samuel.
Mr. Chairman, if I may make use of a point of order rather than continue. Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, what's your point of order, MP Westcott?
My point of order being, Mr. Chairman, that the minister has the questions, and Minister, I look forward to your answers and hope you prepared for them.
Thank you, MP Westcott.
Thank you.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NVGEBE.
amount has the government actually received from the UTS St. Martin's sale? Question 2. Is this the entire amount? If not, why hasn't the entire amount been settled? 3. What are the so-called technicalities encountered with the draft contract? 4. Why is the parliamentary authorization being regarded as incomplete? 5. Why is there a further parliamentary authorization necessary according to the media reports of then? 6. How is the transition on St. Martin going? Has Flow maintained its commitment that there will be no layoffs in the company? 7. What about the social commitment made by Flow as expressed here in the meeting of Parliament when the draft initiative law was being handled? And I requested that these be answered orally during the next question hour.
Question 1. A first tranche of the settlement was paid on September 10th, 2019, which amounts to 9.2 million guilders. Question 2. No, the amount received is not the entire amount. As mentioned, the government received the first tranche directly after the signing of the deed of the sale and transfer of the shares. In accordance with the contract that was signed by the previous Minister of Finance and the previous Minister of Justice, another tranche will be received as soon as the national ordinance authorizing the selling of the shares in UTS is formally amended. In addition, the contract stipulates that there is a holdback amount. However, the payout of this holdback amount depends on agreement between the government of Curaçao and the buyers in the final price, per calculation for all UTS shares. By letter of January 19, 2020, UTS, the 9th, 2020, UTS informed us, the government, on the payout of the holdback amount to St. Martin, based on the final purchase price calculation for all UTS shares. Within 10 days after the draft national ordinance is formally amended, the second tranche and the payout of the holdback amount will be paid for the entire amount settled. The amended ordinance is approved by the Council of Ministers on January 7th, 2020 to be proceeded to Parliament. Question 3. The contract was signed on September 9th, 2019, after the establishment of the National Ordinance of September 3rd, 2019. This is not a draft contract, but a final contract signed by the previous Ministers of Finance and Justice. The National Ordinance states that the minimum price for the sale of the shares cannot be less than 20 million guilders. However, the contract does not make any mention of a minimum price. Instead, the contract mentions that there is a headline purchase price, which has to be adjusted to a final St. Martin purchase price, which was not known at the moment of signing. So, although there is a signed contract as of September 9th, 2019, with regard to the technicalities encountered with the draft contract, the headline purchase price was called the closing date payment, and the amounts were only reflected in USD. The technicalities were in the difference between the wording of the contract and the national ordinance. The question was about what was exactly meant with a minimum price in the national ordinance. Should this be a minimum price before or after purchase costs, etc.? Additionally, the final price was not known at the moment of signing because the final purchase price would be calculated at a later moment. Question 4. As mentioned before, the national ordinance states a minimum price for the sale. However, the signed contract does not make any mention of a minimum price for the sale, but uses the wording headline purchase price and the final St. Martin purchase price. Therefore, it is not clear if, with the wording minimum price for the sale used in the ordinance, is meant the headline purchase price or the final St. Martin purchase price. According to the contract, this uncertainty has to be clarified by amending the wording in the national ordinance. By the Council of Ministers approved amendment, the ordinance aligned with the contract, and it is clear that the definition of the minimum price is the same as the headline purchase price, as stated in the contract. As mentioned, once the national ordinance is formally amended, the remaining amount will be paid, and and I would like to take the opportunity to request Parliament to handle this amendment with the necessary urgency. Question 5. There is no further parliamentary authorization based on the current ordinance necessary. Parliament has only to approve the authorization in accordance with the draft amendment that it's on its way to Parliament. Question 6. As far as we know, there hasn't been any layoffs in the company UTS. What about question 7? To date, we have not been able to receive any confirmation on the social commitment by Flo. Mr. Chairman, that were the questions for the question hour.
Make use of WIB mobile banking with easy access and direct usage of face recognition, PIN code, or fingerprint. Download WIB mobile banking app and make your transaction from anywhere at any time. For more information, visit wib-bank.net/quick-login.
Justice Ministry has had some issues lingering on it for quite some time. The holding cells at the police station, the prison itself. Yeah. And I gotta say that we worked for a couple of months at the prison together, myself and the now minister. What are your plans for the prison and let's say the police station? I see a little repairs going on.
You have long term and you have short term. I would say long term. I had several discussions in Curacao as well. I wouldn't want to go into details right now on it, but I'll just give a brief synopsis. We need a new prison, that's a fact, and we need to find ways how we're going to allocate the funds to do it. Busy now with the ministry, putting together a plan, and I will be presenting this plan very soon in the coming days, or maybe let's say within 2 weeks, to the relevant stakeholders, and it will be made public, and then we go from there. Because
so is it
we cannot continue
renovating the one we are not doing a
complete new prison.
Okay.
We cannot continue to do patchwork because obviously it's not working. It's like taking a carpet and putting it over a hole in the road. It's not. It's gonna look good, but at the end of the day, it doesn't fix the issue.
Yeah, that's true. And those are some of the things that we had, because it's been, how would I say? It's been talked about very long, and it's been planning very long, but to actually see something happen, and I don't blame people when they say, but another plan again, another study, another
assessment,
another assessment, those
pipeline,
what they call government terms,
it's in the pipeline,
and, those
you see me, Fernando, and I'm glad you say that. I'm going to use an example now when it came to the payment of the police officers. The retroactive advance payment for the monies that they were owed based on since 10 to now. You know, I'll be honest with you, you had some individuals that started to work in 2014 telling me, yeah, but since 10 they owe me. And then, but it's just becomes something that you're repeating because you hear somebody say it. Yeah. And then when I pointed out, they said, but you start to work in 2014, and then it clicked. But I think our HR departments and so forth, everywhere, and I'm blaming nobody, in general, need to inform the people more. Because if they're informed, then they don't have to question or doubt what you're doing. Yeah. If you keep an information session and say, listen, guys, this is how we calculate it based on X, Y, Z, then you have less questions. If you come in front, and if I come and give you information, if I say tomorrow, Fernando, we're busy working on a hospital, we're in this phase, that phase. Tomorrow you can't ask me what phase it in because I made it. I told you already. So I see where a lot of information is lacking, and I believe now the different organizations across the board in government need to, I know the civil servants are frustrated as well because every minister comes with a new plan and new ideas, and that's why I urge and strive for stability because it's annoying to them. Because if they're going left, and then all of a sudden a new minister come and say we're going right, it makes their task, because then they spend 7 months, 8 months, sometimes even a year wasting time on something, and that's where the progress get hampered. Yeah. Hampered. So
that stagnates the country.
100%.
Because nothing happens. So, but the word stability, it's
loose. Yeah.
Where words usually star. Like the word integrity was a star a couple of years ago. Now it's stability. Yeah. It's a starring word. But people want stability. They want a guarantee of stability.
Of course.
And I don't blame them.
No, they're right. They're right. 100%.
Right. Because nothing finishes.
It's always starts and never finishes.
Yeah, it's talked about, it's discussed, it's planned.
But again, it goes right back to what I mentioned earlier, Fernando, is where you hold people accountable. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of the things that I was able to do, I'm not going to say I did it. Of course, it's the staff and everybody together. We worked together and we were able to accomplish. But it was a matter of me prioritizing things and saying, guys, but this thing is here for a year or 2 years. Why is it still open? Why aren't we working on it? So that's it. All boils down to the same thing. Actually executing and holding people accountable and doing what you have to do.
Hi, what's up, St. Martin? My name is Rene Leverett, and I play baseball. And I have represented St. Martin in numerous international tournaments and professionally around the world. Sports matters to me because it reveals and develops character. So I challenge the business community to step up for sports and help us rebuild and repair our facilities. I also ask the community to nominate local businesses in your area to take the challenge and step up for sports. Because #sports matters, #are you in?
Second question is to the Minister of VSR. You said several weeks ago that the ministry would be going into different districts to conduct an unemployment drive. And this morning you said that part of it had to do with the home repair campaign, that you merged it to target construction workers. Do you have any plans to expand this to include the nurses and the sales reps that you also mentioned who are unemployed, part of the unemployed sector? And if so, when? And just further details on what the plans are about this.
Thank you, Dimitri. The intention of the plan is for it to be an ongoing project. So it's not only targeted for construction workers, we targeted basically all unemployment categories. But because of the nature of the home repair program, you will combine it faster with the construction workers that are unemployed within the districts themselves. So therefore, when we was holding the meetings in the different districts, most of the times you find that the construction workers were the ones who came forward and gave up their names in order for them to be able to be selected when doing the home repairs. And we get a lot of unemployed construction workers, which prove what we were stating before, that there are unemployed construction workers out there that need the work. Sorry. So that was basically the project in combination with the home repair. The second part of your question regarding nurses and teachers, yes, we are having conversations with the university and also with NEPA, because NEPA had this program regarding the nurses. So we are having conversations in order for us to see what would be an effective way to target this unemployed group.